Hello, everybody. It's Walt Blackman. Welcome to the Walt Blackman Show. I'm your host, Walt Blackman, and I'm also a candidate running for Legislative District 7. We are doing something a little bit different on the podcast. You can still go to my podcast page, or you can download the podcast audio only at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so on and so forth. You can go to those platforms, and you can go to www.buzzfeed.com. Just click Walt Blackman, the Walt Blackman Show, and it'll take you to the podcast. Now, if you want to watch the podcast, and this is something that we are doing that is new, it's going to be on the Walt Blackman Show on my YouTube channel. So we ask that you go over there, join, subscribe, and get all the latest information on whatever we are doing in the house, what's going on in Arizona, so on and so forth. Now, today, the video is going to be a little bit blah. It's going to be a little bit that way because it's the budget. Yeah, it is laughable. But I think it's important for people to understand where their taxpayer dollars are going. So what I have done, and I'll continue to do this when I do get in office, is to actually, excuse me, is to actually break the budget down just for the county, what the county is getting. Because I think it's important for you to know, as taxpayers and folks that vote us into office, where your money is going, what bills are carrying that money, and how much money is actually coming back into the district. I think that's important for folks to know. So I'm encouraging you to actually subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can see all the goings on. So bills are going to be explained. It's going to be fun. It's just not going to be the blah, blah, blah. It ain't going to be just that. For real. It's going to be fun. We're going to make it fun. So, but today we do need to start out with the budget because it is the House and Senate have sine died. So the session is officially over. And with that being the case, the last piece of work that needs to be done is the budget. And here we go. So if you go to www.azledge.gov, you can go and you can find a budget. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually walk through that really quickly right now because some folks don't know where to find some of this stuff at. And I think it's important that you do know where you can get some of this stuff. It's important that you do it. It's important that you're able to find this stuff out. So that's what we're going to do. So if you're looking really quickly, you just go to your web browser and type in www.azledge.gov. It'll take you to the Arizona State Legislature webpage. Now, whether you want to look at information in the House or Senate, you can look at those. If you want to look at a particular bill that someone has ran and you have questions about that, you can do that. Now, what we are actually looking at today is, let me go back to here really quickly. What we are looking at is we want to find out the bill. We want to find out the budget bill. So what all you do is you go up to bill search and you type in the bill 2897. And once you get that in there, all you do is click search, and it's going to go to that actual bill. Up here, you'll find the sponsors. Okay. Now, typically on the budget bills, it's going to be one sponsor, and that sponsor is going to be the appropriations chair. This year, the appropriations chair for the Arizona House is Representative Livingston. All right. And you will see these series of bills. Now, it's important when you are looking at these bills that you just don't look at the first bill and think that that is the bill, because there's a lot of changes that these bills go through. For example, what you want to do is you want to go through these tabs. So the first tab is going to be the status of the bill. Where is the bill standing right now? Now, the budget bill was first read on June 12th. On June 13th, it was second read. And then on June 13th, it went to the caucus. The caucus talked about the budget. Then it went to the same day, the minority caucus. The minority caucus is going to be the Democrats. Then it went to Cal. What Cal is the committee of the whole action. The committee of the whole is the amendments or what's happening there for this particular bill. Then it goes to third read, and that's all on the floor. And once you go to third read and it is voted on, you can see who voted on the bill. The names next to the numbers right there, as you can see. For example, we have Aguilar who voted no on the bill. Dunn voted yes. Livingston voted yes. Pena voted yes. This right here is a bipartisan bill. Now, if you want to see what who voted yes and who voted no, or how many Democrats voted on the bill. So, for example, we want to see how many Republicans voted on this bill. This would be all the Republicans that had voted on the bill. So on and so forth. So it's really easy to read. It's really easy to follow where the bill is at. Now, after the bill leaves the House, it's transmitted to the Senate, and it does the same thing. If you want to see the arguments about the bill, if you want to see what was happening on the bill for the third read for the bill, you can actually go to click one of these videos. It will take you exactly to where a time and place where that bill was going to be played. And we'll just click on this really quickly.
Very good. Any comments, questions?
What you see right there is the actual, the bill we're talking about, 2897, general appropriations. You've got Mr. Livingston that is introducing that bill. Mr. Grantham is the Speaker Pro Tem, and he is actually introducing this bill to the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Chairman, I move with the Committee of the Whole Rights and Reports. It recommends House Bill 2897 receive a due pass.
All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. So ordered. Mr. Majority Leader.
Now, let me talk about that really quickly. When they're talking about Mr. Mr. Speaker, I recommend that HB 27, what was it? What's the name of the bill? 2728 or something like that. I recommend when HB 2728 receive a due pass recommendation. And all that is that the sponsor of the bill is asking for the bill to come forward. Now, the majority leader will get up there and say her bit, and then the bill will go to voting. So that's just something really quickly. We're going to get into other things about that when we actually are looking on how to navigate the system at the Arizona House. We'll be looking at that for folks that have questions on how to do that. Now, let's take a look at the background of the bill. What's in this bill? And how does this bill affect LD7? So the overview, now this is work that I have done. This isn't work that the House has done. This is the information that I have gathered from the districts that Dave Marshall and I are going to be representing. And I look at the overview of the top three priorities of the bills that these folks are wanting to make a priority for their communities. Arizona State Budget Bill for fiscal year 24-25 outlines the allocations of funds across various state departments, counties, cities, towns, and projects. Now, the budget prioritizes this budget for the LD7, only LD7. I can't speak to the other counties. But for LD7, the priorities were education, infrastructure, public safety, healthcare, and community services to support the growth and the well-being of the Arizonas within the district. Now, the major allocations, and everybody, all the three counties made this a priority, was education. So within the county, LD7, the basic state aid for LD7 is going to be $5.6 billion for 24-25. The classroom site fund is a little over $9 million. Additional state aid for property taxes. That's your property taxes that's coming from the counties to the state to pay for education. We are looking at over $10 million, or correction, over $500 million. Result-based funding, $68 million. And the results-based funding are the results of tests, how the school ends up at the end of the year. As you know, if a school does well, they get X amount of dollars, so on and so forth. So within our county, within our district, correction, $68 million is going towards that fund. And in special education, $36 million. And that is based on weights and measures. When we look at health and social services, this is the dollars that are going towards our health and services. Long-term care is a big discussion within our district. $9.3 million going towards that. Public safety. When we're talking about public safety, we are not talking about the border, folks. We are talking about the highway patrol and how they patrol the area of our state. Public safety for that is $262 million. Department of Corrections is $1.5 million. As you know, we have a prison in Winslow in our district. So Winslow is not in the district, however, within our geographic location. Juvenile corrections is the same, $30 million. Infrastructure was, as I said, a big priority for most. Water resources and fire management, as you can imagine. I speak about this a lot. Dave and I speak about this a lot. Transportation and roads. That means the roads that you see that are actually being upgraded, those improvements will continue to take place. And the only bad news to that, you'll see just a lot of stagnated traffic when you're headed down in the valley. But, that's something we can take. Community services, and that's various community reentry programs, workforce development, so on and so forth. And then the local investments. When we're talking about going to public facilities. And local investments could be anything from internet infrastructure. It could be anything to community-based programs like childcare, so on and so forth. Now, what I've also done is broke out a sub-report, the usage of the resources for the counties in LD7. And I do this all the time for folks, and I ask that you actually take a look at that. Now, when you go to Gila County, this was their top 3. Now, they have other priorities. This isn't the only priorities that they've had, that Gila County Board of Supervisors have, or the city of Payson. This is the top 3 that I got out of their analysis. Now, we're talking education, infrastructure, and community service supports. That's what Gila County is looking at. Okay. Coconino County, again, education, public safety, infrastructure. Pinal County, education, healthcare enhancements for local healthcare services and facilities. Infrastructure, major road improvements, so on and so forth. Projects, transportation enhancements. Navajo County, education, again, that's at the top of everybody's list. Infrastructure, significant investments to road improvements. And they actually identified a road that they wanted improved in Navajo County through talks or their priorities, SR 260, that runs within Navajo County. And then again, community services. Now, the budgets that you see, the priorities that you see are, again, the priorities set by the County Board of Supervisors, a local city government, so on and so forth, that I've collected and analyzed and put into this big melting pot, and was able to say, okay, so based on their past year spending, their request, how much money they paid in property taxes, so on and so forth, these appear to be within their priorities. Now, it does not mean that these are the only priorities in the district. They are not. For example, when you get down to Pinal County, towards the southern part of Pinal County, of course, the border is going to be an issue. It's a priority that needs to be fixed. So you'll see some of this. But this was grabbed out of the geographic areas of the district. Now, you may not have seen agriculture in there a lot. However, agriculture, I will tell you, farming, ranching, it is a big priority. And It just needs to come up more on the radar. And as lawmakers, we are pushing it up and making sure that our ranchers and farmers are getting the resources they need, because matter of fact, they should be number one on the priority scale. And so we make sure that when we do this analysis, or when I do these analyses, then I make sure that I'm not forgetting them, because they are important. Now, again, if you want a reference to this, I referenced the bill where you can go to. You can go to the Arizona House. You can find it. So there's so on and so forth. Now, what a lot of people will not see is a third item that actually lawmakers get, and it is called the spreadsheet, the budget spreadsheet. The House and the Senate members get it. This spreadsheet comes from the JLBC. And JLBC are the folks that put the pen to paper to figure out where the money is going, how much something's going to cost, how much taxes we are going to receive for earned state revenue, so on and so forth. The interest that goes to the state treasurer, all that stuff. They do all the math in there. Now, the spreadsheet is a combination of two things. The spreadsheet has what we think something should cost to fund or rebuild or to create, and it could also be earmarks. If you don't know what an earmark is an an ask from a member. A member may say, for example, I asked for an earmark for $1 million to upgrade and renovate our rodeo stadium in Taylor. Why? Because the Taylor Rodeo is a major, major revenue resource for us in this area. And it doesn't only affect Taylor, it affects Snowflake, Holbrook, Heber, Overgarden. I mean, it extends. And as a result of that, projected through JLBC, based on the dollars that I asked for, the return on investment is 2.5. So we're talking for the next fiscal year, we are looking to get into this area alone over $2 million worth of new money. Now, when we're talking about it's just not going to be a wheelbarrow full of money. It's going to be money going into hotels, restaurants, so on and so forth. That is what we are talking about. New money into the community that the community can turn around and use to continue to improve their infrastructure within their county, city, and local level. That's government. That's how government's supposed to work. You want to make sure that you bring resources into the district. So I'm going to show you a copy of the spreadsheet. Again, the spreadsheet is something that all of the members get. The spreadsheet always changes. And again, the spreadsheet is a look forward of where we think the money is going to go, where we think it needs to go, so on and so forth. Now, the spreadsheet is not always what ends up in the budget, because there's a lot of changes when we're working with the spreadsheet. It's real easy to read. Let's pick out something. Excuse me. It's real easy to read. Let's pick out something. So when we're talking about ongoing revenue, money that's going to be coming in ongoing every year from the January baseline, all we do, is real easy to look at. We got 14 million. It'll be coming in. It started coming in June of this year, 14 million, and it increases every year. That's ongoing revenue based to the state. An example, any type of revenue that has to be adjusted, as you can see, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go all in depth in this. The reason for showing you this is that lawmakers just don't sit down and say, we want to do X amount of dollars for this. This actually talks about each and every agency that will be funded or proposed funding for the next 3 years. So anything in this budget for 24-25, will actually start to be funded next cycle. So we are talking about the 2005 cycle. Now let's look at the agencies. Now, these are the agencies. Now, for example, this is Department of Children's Services, DCS. And as you see, you go across, you see, wow, okay, they're going to be funded $13 million. That is just their operating budget. That's their general budget. Okay. That is what this House and Senate has agreed to give them for the fiscal year. But then you look down and you say, well, what are all these other numbers? So then you look down and you see operating budget increase. So what that means is last year, when the budget was formulated, there was an increase for this year of $6.1 million to DCS. However, because of the deficit, we're looking at, it was like $1 billion in the deficit that we had. So there had to be rollbacks, and rollbacks are nothing more than cuts. So anytime you see something in parentheses like this, that means over the next 3 years, there's going to be a $6.1 million decrease to the budget increase. So that's why you see this number here stay the same for the next 3 years. That's what that means. Too easy. So we know what's going to be in the budget. Now, if a lot of folks are interested in roads, because roads is a big deal. And all you do in ADOT, that's Arizona Department of Transportation, and say you live in Wickenburg, and your member has asked for a new project to be done in Wickenburg. Okay. And that is a project that may have been asked by the member, or it could have been placed in last year's budget. And they're asking for a shortfall of $400,000 for the project to be completed, so on and so forth. Now, in some cases, we will see, for example, on line 168, interchange at SR 303 and US Route 60, a project surplus. That surplus is $500,000, which will go back into the general fund of the ADOT budget, general budget, where they can use that money somewhere else. Why? Is because they finished the project and it took them less money. And how you find out how much money they actually spent on the project, we just look at last year's spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet could have said, I'm looking at this, the spreadsheet could have said that it's going to be $10 million, or it's going to be $1 million to fix this road. And it's safe to say that they actually finished it up with $500,000. So that $500,000 does not get wasted. It goes back into the general fund of the ADOT. So on and so forth. A lot of folks are concerned about our universities. They were saying our universities get so much money, yada, 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 and we shouldn't be paying this. And that's a conversation that really needs to be heard. So, if we want to find out what we are doing about education, we just kind of look at it. Now, the Department of Education, this is K through 12 funding. We're looking at the lump baseline budget. And that baseline budget was $13 billion. Correction, $13 million when we were looking at that. Okay? But there was a reduction in funding, a 3.45 reduction in funding of education. Now, it doesn't mean that we are not going to fund education. What we're going to try to do is find the money somewhere else. When we have all these cuts and rollbacks, then that's what we look at. If you want to know what Katie Hobbs is spending on her executive budget with the money she wants for her office, she's actually asking for $10 million. Also a reduction of 3.45. So it's real easy to look at that now. As I was talking about the universities, the university in our district is Northern Arizona University, which is in Flagstaff. That is what they have asked for. They've asked for $117 million. And as you can see, between the three universities, NAU actually operates with less dollars. than the other two universities. So again, this is a spreadsheet that members will be able to look at and kind of see where our money's going and what to ask for, and if we even going to have the dollars to ask for these deals. Now, what's also important is to look at the general funds revenues and one-time funding. Now, these are projects that they're going to cost one time. It's not going to be anything ongoing. Okay. And we are looking at some of these again from the departments, the Department DOA, Department of Administration. They are asking for $44 million. That's what is agreed to give them throughout the years. 2013, that's what they're asking for. They're going to get $9.2 million this year. And then when we look at the spreadsheet next year, they'll see an increase. However, there's going to be a removal of one-time funding, fire incident management. I don't know what that is. Grant system. So folks that are writing for grants at the state level for this particular project, fire incident management, those grant dollars are going to be reduced. They will not be there because we've got all these rollbacks. So if you look at the Department of Revenue, they've actually cut back a lot of money of what they need. Again, the parentheses means these dollars will be taken out. In our district, LD7, Miami Unified School District, removal one-time funding for a gym floor. That gym floor was probably been in there since Christ was a private. It's going to cost $350 million. You're not going to be able to get it this year because of the cutbacks. So you will be able to see what we are spending money on and why it's important to stay up to tabs on this deal. So we can't, when I see during the campaign, I hear a lot of folks that will say, oh, they're just spending money like a bunch of drunken sailors up there. They have no clue what they are talking about because number one, they haven't seen a spreadsheet. They don't know where the money is going, and they don't know what they're talking about. Most people think that the only dollars that we get in the state of Arizona, those dollars should just go to the border. Now, the budget is $18 billion. I may have to start this again. When they shut up, I'll start. All right. Now, a lot of barking. Now, the overall budget is $18 billion this year. That's what we're looking at. However, there's going to be a lot of rollbacks. There's going to be a lot of cutbacks. So I don't think that $18 billion is going to be the ending part of the budget. We'll see that once the governor signs the budget, and then the budget takes 90 days to go into effect, unless there was an emergency clause. and there wasn't an emergency clause for the overall budget. There were some parts of the budget that were emergency clauses. So when she signs it, it'll go automatically in effect, but the majority of the budget is going to be taking effect in 90 days. Now, I want to go back to something really quickly. I remember I was at a forum when an individual said that they would not sign on to any budget that a Democrat signed on to. They're not going to do it. Now, as you saw in the budget, I'm going to show it again because I just want to make it clear that sometimes a lot of folks live in fantasy land. And when they live in fantasy land, they say things to voters that simply is not true. It's simply not true. So when we go down to the cow action, and that is the, who voted on what, so on and so forth. When we look at the detail, for example, on the third read, we see there's a mixture of votes. We see the vote count is 34 to 21, with 5 not voting. So in order for this bill to pass, it had to have at least 31 votes. So let's see how many Democrats, let's see how many nays were on this bill. We have a mixture of Democrats and Republicans on this bill that were nay votes. So we have 21 that are a mixture. Okay, we have some Republicans, we have some Democrats on here that were nay votes. But when we look at, who all voted for the bill, we got 34 members, a mixture of Republicans and Democrats. So there is no way in the world that a person who is running for office is going to say that they are not going to sign on any type of bill and think that it will not get passed. It's just not going to happen. Let's see how many Democrats voted on this bill. These are all the Democrats that have voted on the budget, the Appropriations Act for 2024-25. And again, what does that bill pay for? I've showed you. Roads, infrastructure, projects in the county, public safety programs. And a lot of people don't look at that. So for those folks that are out there that are running that say that, they would never sign on and they would never vote for a Democrat bill. However, you need a road that to be constructed because a floor in a gym that needs to be replaced. Our police radios for DPS, our jail facilities to be upgraded so folks are not breaking out of prison. When you are saying no to those types of bills and you look into your district and your district needs those things, don't sit here and tell me that you are going to vote just on Republican bills where there are no Democrats. It is just not going to happen. That is the reality. Now, if we had a supermajority, that's a different story. We don't have a supermajority. We have a 1-seat majority in the House and the Senate. We have a Democrat governor, so on and so forth. You've heard me say it before. That is the reality. The fantasy is standing in front of you and telling you some BS, some bullshit, and I just said it, to voters that they know that they will not be able to do. So here's my challenge to some of those folks that are out there saying this, particularly in the LD7 race. If you happen to get elected, I want to see one time on a budget bill that you don't vote for that is going to help our community. You say you're for election integrity, for the bill to pass as a collective bill. Are you going to vote no on that piece of the bill for election integrity because a Democrat voted yes on a water infrastructure part of the bill? You're not going to do that. And if you do that, you're silly, you're living in dreamland, and you really don't know what you're talking about. Everybody, this is Walt Blackman, and I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to be doing a lot more of this. Again, if you want to go to my podcast, just the audio part of the podcast, all you need to do is go to www.buzzsprout.com, click on the Walt Blackman Show, or just go to Apple, Spotify, so on and so forth, and download my podcast. If you want to watch this video and you want to take a look at what we were going through, the budget, all you need to do is go to my YouTube, the Walt Blackman Show, on my YouTube, download it, watch it, and you can follow along and stay informed to what's going on in the state of Arizona. Everybody, I'm Walt Blackman. I hope you enjoyed this portion of the Walt Blackman Show. Again, next week, join us as we talk about some more interesting events that are going on. And we'll be talking about some stolen valor to come up, everybody. Everybody take care. This is Walt Blackman, your next Arizona House Representatives at the State House, and I hope to serve you for many, many years. God bless. Have a great and wonderful week. And remember, if you're not part of the solution, you are definitely part of the problem. Take care, everybody.